Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we stand on the authority of Psalm 91, the covenant of divine covering for everyone who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. As the day begins, we declare that fear has no permission, danger has no access, and confusion has no voice over our lives. The Lord Himself is our refuge and fortress, our God in whom we trust. By the power of His word, we are hidden from unseen arrows, preserved from sudden calamity, and surrounded by the peace that passes understanding. Angels are released on assignment, guarding our paths, ordering our steps, and enforcing the promises of God as we walk confidently into this day under divine protection and rest. Dwelling in the secret place of the Most High is not a poetic phrase reserved for moments of devotion. It is a spiritual reality that defines access, authority, and preservation. The secret place speaks of intimacy, of alignment, of a life that has learned the discipline of remaining conscious of God beyond emotional moments. It is a realm where revelation replaces assumption and where trust is built, not because situations are favorable, but because God has been encountered. Many desire the benefits of divine covering, without understanding that the covering is sustained by abiding. To dwell means to remain, to settle, to take residence, not to visit occasionally when pressure rises. It is a posture of the heart that chooses God as its primary environment, making Him the first reference in decisions, reactions, and expectations. In that place, fear loses its vocabulary because confidence is no longer rooted in visible outcomes, but in the faithfulness of the one who watches over the soul. The secret place is hidden, not because it is inaccessible, but because it cannot be entered casually. It demands separation from noise, from distraction, from the tyranny of urgency that competes with spiritual sensitivity. Those who dwell there have learned the value of stillness, understanding that silence before God is not emptiness but preparation. In that realm, identity is restored, perspective is refined, and strength is renewed. The Most High is revealed not just as a powerful God, but as a present refuge, attentive to the whispers of the heart. Dwelling there means trusting His wisdom above personal logic, allowing His word to frame reality even when circumstances argue otherwise. It is there that spiritual discernment is sharpened, enabling one to recognize danger before it manifests and wisdom before choices are made. Dwelling also implies obedience, because intimacy without submission is an illusion. The secret place responds to alignment, not intention. Many pray for protection while living outside the boundaries of divine instruction, not realizing that obedience is a spiritual location. To abide under the shadow of the Almighty is to consciously choose His ways even when alternatives appear easier or more appealing. It is to allow correction without resistance and direction without delay. In that place, character is formed quietly, integrity is built privately, and consistency is cultivated without applause. God trusts those who dwell with Him because they have learned to value His presence above public recognition. Such people are not easily shaken because their confidence is not outsourced to human validation. The secret place is also where burdens are exchanged. Anxiety gives way to assurance, pressure gives way to peace, and confusion gives way to clarity. Those who dwell there do not deny the existence of challenges, but they refuse to magnify them above the knowledge of God. The atmosphere of that place reprograms the mind, teaching it to respond in faith rather than panic. Strength is imparted, not always to change situations instantly, but to endure them victoriously. In that place, prayer becomes less of a request and more of a communion, less about asking and more about aligning. The heart learns to listen, and in listening, direction is received. Dwelling in the secret place positions a person for supernatural defense because divine protection is relational before it is functional. Angels respond to divine authority, and divine authority flows from alignment. Those who dwell carry an awareness that they are not alone, that the invisible realm is active on their behalf. This consciousness produces boldness without arrogance and humility without fear. The assurance of God's presence becomes a constant companion, shaping decisions, conversations, and expectations. The secret place becomes a spiritual home where strength is replenished daily, not occasionally. It is there that the believer learns to trust God's timing, understanding that delay does not mean denial and silence does not mean absence. The Most High reveals himself in that place as a covenant-keeping God, faithful to his word, attentive to detail, and intentional about destiny. Those who dwell begin to see life through the lens of purpose rather than survival. Challenges are interpreted as processes, not punishments. The heart becomes stable because it is anchored in something eternal. Faith matures beyond excitement into conviction, beyond desire into assurance. The secret place teaches the soul to rest, not because everything is resolved, but because God is in control. Rest becomes an act of faith, a declaration that the burden is no longer carried alone. Dwelling also refines spiritual sensitivity, making the heart responsive to promptings that others ignore. Guidance becomes subtle yet clear. Warnings come early, and opportunities are recognized with discernment. The believer who dwells learns to move with God rather than ahead of him, understanding that speed without direction leads to exhaustion. In that place, patience is cultivated, and waiting is understood as a strategic posture, not wasted time. God speaks to those who are willing to remain, not just those who are eager to move. The secret place rewards consistency more than intensity, teaching the value of daily fellowship over occasional zeal. Those who dwell do not live reactionary lives. They are proactive in the spirit, fortified before battles arise. The strength gained in the secret place becomes evident in public spaces, not through noise, but through stability. When storms come, their response is measured, their speech is seasoned, and their faith is evident. The secret place produces a quiet authority that does not need to announce itself. It is an authority rooted in experience, in encounters that have shaped conviction over time. Such individuals walk with a consciousness of divine companionship, confident that wherever they go, the presence they carry goes with them, shaping outcomes, influencing environments, and sustaining them through every season, every demand,
every transition, every unseen challenge, every expectation placed upon them as they continue to abide, remain, and dwell under the shadow of the Almighty, where trust deepens, faith matures, strength is renewed, and the soul learns to stay, to listen, to believe, to remain anchored in God without drifting into self-dependence or fear, choosing daily to make Him their dwelling place, their refuge, their confidence, their secret place where life flows from, where peace is guarded, where direction is received, where identity is affirmed, where purpose is clarified, where endurance is sustained, where hope is preserved, and where the heart continually returns again and again, learning that to dwell is not an event but a lifestyle of conscious dependence, sustained fellowship, spiritual awareness, and our unwavering trust in the Most High, who remains faithful, constant, present, and near. Even as the journey continues, the path unfolds, and the walk with God deepens into greater dimensions of understanding and reliance on Him, beyond words, beyond emotions, beyond circumstances, into a settled confidence that refuses to leave His presence even when the road stretches ahead, still choosing to dwell, to abide, to remain, to stay, to trust, to rest, to listen, to follow, to yield, to believe, to hope, to stand, to walk, to live, to breathe, and to exist in the secret place of the Most High, where life is preserved and destiny is secured, where the soul finds its true home and continues to dwell without interruption, without retreat, without compromise, remaining there as the foundation of every day, every decision, every step, every moment of existence in God's presence, continually dwelling, continually abiding, continually remaining under his shadow, still there, still present, still aligned, still trusting, still dwelling, still staying, still anchored, still hidden in him, still conscious of his nearness, still aware, still yielded, still resting, still believing, still dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, under his shadow, within his presence, living from that place, moving from that place, speaking from that place, thinking from that place, and remaining there as the journey continues, without stepping out, without drifting away, without losing focus, without surrendering the posture of dwelling in him, remaining abiding, staying, trusting, resting, dwelling, continually dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. Divine protection also extends to the mind and emotions. Seen dangers attack the body, unseen dangers often attack the soul. Anxiety, fear, confusion, and discouragement can be weapons used to destabilize inner peace. Protection in this dimension preserves clarity, guarding the heart against overwhelming pressure. Peace becomes a weapon, not just a feeling, enforcing stability in the midst of uncertainty. The believer learns that to be protected is not only to be kept alive, but to be kept sane, focused, and hopeful. Emotional resilience becomes a sign of divine covering, allowing one to function effectively even when circumstances are unstable. Angelic involvement is a major component of divine protection. Scripture affirms that angels are assigned to guard, to guide, and to enforce divine instruction. These beings operate in obedience to God's word, not human awareness. Their activity is constant, precise, and purposeful. They restrain harm, reroute danger, and influence outcomes in ways that remain invisible to natural perception. The believer may never see them, but their effect is evident in sustained preservation. Protection is not passive. It is actively enforced by divine agents responding to covenant authority. Divine protection also teaches dependency. It reminds the believer that strength is not self-generated and safety is not self-managed. This dependency is not weakness, it is wisdom. When God is acknowledged as the source of safety, pride loses its foothold. The believer learns to pray not only for success but for covering, not only for progress but for preservation. This mindset produces humility, gratitude, and vigilance. Life is approached with faith, not fear, but also with awareness, not carelessness. Protection does not promote recklessness. It promotes confidence anchored in responsibility and obedience. Protection from unseen dangers also includes deliverance from spiritual contamination. Not every threat destroys instantly. Some erode slowly through compromise, distraction, and subtle deviation. Divine protection guards conviction, preserving spiritual sensitivity. It keeps the heart responsive to correction and resistant to deception. Many falls are prevented long before they happen because divine protection enforces boundaries within the conscience. The believer finds strength to say no, clarity to walk away, and discipline to remain aligned even when temptation presents itself attractively. This inner protection is as vital as physical safety because it preserves the integrity of the journey. Divine protection is sustained through relationship. It is not a switch turned on by fear, but a covering maintained by fellowship. The more conscious one is of God, the more sensitive they become to his guidance. Prayer becomes a shield, worship becomes a refuge, and the word becomes a map of safety. The believer begins to live with an awareness that God is actively involved in daily affairs, from decisions to movements to interactions. This awareness reduces panic and increases trust, creating a lifestyle of calm assurance. Even when danger is real, fear is not dominant because faith has been strengthened through consistent encounters with God. Protection also extends to legacy. God protects not only individuals but what is connected to them. Families, assignments, callings, and responsibilities are covered under divine oversight. This does not eliminate challenges, but it ensures continuity. The believer begins to see protection as a generational investment, something that outlives personal experience. What God preserves today becomes a testimony tomorrow. The confidence that arises from this understanding produces boldness to pursue purpose without intimidation. The believer moves forward knowing that while opposition exists, it does not have ultimate authority. Divine protection from seen and unseen dangers is the assurance that life is supervised by a higher power. It removes the burden of self-defense and replaces it with trust in divine oversight. This trust does not ignore reality, it redefines it. The believer lives with an understanding that God is actively watching, actively guarding, actively intervening. This produces rest without laziness, vigilance without anxiety, courage without arrogance. Each day becomes an opportunity to witness preservation in subtle ways, to experience safety without spectacle, to walk confidently without obsession over danger, to live fully while being divinely kept, sustained, shielded, guarded, covered, preserved, watched over, defended, and secured by God's unfailing power, moving through life with assurance, stability, clarity, and peace, knowing that even when danger is unseen, protection is already in motion, already active, already established, already enforced, already surrounding, already ahead, already behind, already within reach, already working, already effective, already sufficient, already present, continually operating as the believer walks forward in faith, trusting God as the ultimate defender, the keeper of life, the guardian of destiny, the preserver of purpose, remaining confident that nothing permitted to touch their life will destroy what God has ordained, remaining assured, steady, and unshaken under the covering of divine protection from every seen and unseen danger.